Hi, friends. This is Dustin Coyle again, coming with a greater episode than average of Intelligent Thoughts. We're doing the UFC 107, Fight Night 107 breakdown, along with that Triple G fight and the Chocolatito fight that I'm sure everybody that's at least partially interested in boxing is talking about at least one of those. But it was a fantastic weekend for fights. But with no further ado, let's start the show. Alrighty. So UFC 107 or UFC Fight Night 107 or UFC Fight Night London, whatever you want to call it. Jimmy Manuwa versus Corey Anderson. Fucking A, man. Jimmy Manuwa. I think that Jimmy Manuwa, we'll start right here, is better or is ready for he's ready for the step up in competition. I think he's the number 4 ranked light heavyweight in the world. I don't think that counts John Jones, but let me look this up actually. Yeah, according to UFC.com, which I just found, their ranking system is actually, I thought it was based upon people who have some sort of true introspective knowledge of the sport. It's actually a panel of media members that make these rankings, and that's probably why they have such fucking terrible hold as far as like anybody who is affiliate, not even talking about myself, but like you always hear like people commenting, Luke Thomas or maybe Brendan Schaub or anybody commenting on how shitty the fucking rankings are. But I mean, I guess that's probably why it is. They don't actually really they're not skilled people that are deciding what's skilled, these other skilled people, where they're at and shit like that. But UFC.com does not have Johnny Jones Bones listed, which makes sense because of the suspension and like, I don't know what. I guess it doesn't really make sense though, because he clearly, I don't know where you'd put him. I mean, he's not the champ, so they have Cormier at champ, Rumble at 1, Gustafsson at 2, Teixeira at 3, Manuwa 4. He is the champ though, really. Actually, I mean, in my eyes, John Jones is still the champ. I love Cormier, but that's still an interim title to me. Somehow, you don't just fucking, I don't know. The lineal title. I like lineal titles all the time. But enough of that. My point being, Manuwa was at number 4. That's without John Jones, so he's really number 5. This fight was fantastic. Corey Anderson looked really good. Corey Anderson's movement for a 205-pound person, he looked like he was 155 pounds. His footwork was incredible. Switching stances, moving around a lot, dropping leg kicks, low leg kicks, switching it up very fast. He looked very fast. Honestly, maybe a little too much movement, though. Not necessarily foot movement and things like that, but you could tell that he was nervous. His hands, like so much hand movement and stuff like that. But he looked really, really good. Both fighters' stock rose following this fight. However, nobody's stock rose. Well, one person's did over the whole night. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Jimmy Manuwa, KO, one-punch KO. Round 1, 3 minutes and 5 seconds into the fight. Fucking incredible. It didn't even look... Manuwa, too, I guess I wanted to contrast their styles a little bit. Manuwa looked extremely calm. Almost no movement, almost McGregor-like in the sense of just kind of standing in front of you. Real fucking sick, man. Jimmy Manuwa looks fucking nuts. He stunned him, I think, with like a left or a right before that barely grazed him. And it stunned Anderson and pushed him back into the cage, and then Anderson tried to circle right to get out of there. And Manuwa's arms are fucking massive. They're long as hell. He threw a fucking hook that honestly didn't even look fantastic. It was one of those long-ass fucking loopy hooks that didn't even look like it came with much power. It hit him on the fucking temple or the side of the head. And it was one of those where it like takes a fucking second for you to fucking get knocked out, So he takes like a half of another step. And then, boom, his head fucking bounces, you know what I'm saying? Like he fucking got hit by a fucking bullet. And then... man, he just eats shit onto his face. Manuwa doesn't throw another shot, man. Holy shit. One shot, left hook knockout. Manuwa is a... Dude, You could put him up there with Rumble. Now he's looking dangerous. I mean, he is looking Rumble-like at this point. I would be scared. I think that Manua, if in a matchup against Gus, in a matchup against Teixeira, holy shit, he's ready for one of those. And I think he would actually be favored in either of those matchups. That was a fucking, like I said, I hadn't really watched a lot of Jimmy Manua before that. That was more than an eye-opener. And then I have previously gone back, or since gone back and watched. You know, I saw his other knockout and stuff, or his 2 knockouts, but most recently. But then I went back and watched a lot of the other fights, and this guy is a fucking scary man. Long arms, powerful as fuck, ripped up a storm, man. That dude is buff as shit. I'm a big Jimmy Manua fan. After this fight, man, I really, really, really think he's going to be some next level shit. So that was a great win for Manua. Corey Anderson, he's still number 6, though, in the rankings. He fought, you know, it was only 3 minutes, but he looked good enough. Sorry, there was a delivery dude at the fucking door for some, delivering some alcohol for fucking my roommate. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, Corey Anderson, he looked good. Mauricio looked damn good. It's tough, man. That now, what was a disgusting division, now has a 4 through 7 that's looking pretty good. Volkan Ozdemir, OSP, obviously. I mean, he needs to string together a few wins, but this is now going to be an interesting division, in my opinion. Yeah, I like what's going on here. And Shogun back in the top 5, super fucking interesting there. Jimmy Manua is a stud, though. I wouldn't mind. So look, what kind of matchups do we have? We have Johnson Cormier, Gus and Teixeira. I say you give Manua either Gus or Teixeira. You give Shogun. Do you give him Corey Anderson? Oh, no, there was that split decision. Yeah, that was almost a year ago in Brazil. Yeah, you know, I think you either give Shogun. So I think you give Manua either Gus or Teixeira. I like the Gus fight a little bit better. I think he outmatched. I think he KOs Teixeira. So I say you give him Gus, and you either give Shogun Teixeira, or you give Shogun the Corey Anderson rematch. Which they both looked good. Shogun's power was back against Jean Vellante, but Corey Anderson, I think, would be the slight favorite going into that fight if they did that rematch. But that'll be cool. We'll wait and see what's going on. I guess I should probably listen to some other media as far as the MMA game is concerned before I make too much speculation upon that shit. But wouldn't be a bad idea. All right, moving on. Welterweight bout between Gunnar Nelson, Alan Jouban. Jouban had a great fight against Mike P. Gunnar Nelson is always consistent, great karateka and good submission skills. Gunnar Nelson dominates the first round. I actually called that a 10-8, and then wins 46 seconds into the second round with a guillotine submission, a nasty one. He's badass. He's bad. Not like a simple not even like a Faber guillotine. He fucking tossed him. He tossed him. Did a real fucking neck crank. That was a sick guillotine. Actually finished it in mount. It was like a true grappler's guillotine, excuse me. Fantastic performance by Gunnar Nelson. Let's take a look at the rankings. Jouban, he was not in the rankings, and I think that there's no shot who will be in them, but let's take a peek real quick. Yeah, Gunnar still ranked number 9, right behind Donald Cerrone. That would be a great matchup of different stylistic, good kickboxers in both rings there. That'd be good to watch. Man, 170 stacked like a motherfucker, huh? Young Kim at 7, Magny at 6, Jorge Masvidal 5, Condit, Maya. Whew. God damn, murderer's row here. I really like 170 is another one that, of course, Tyron Woodley, Stephen Thompson, Robbie Lawler, that was dying without GSP, I feel like. Now, man, look at 170. It's getting thick in 170. I don't know how many of these people are going to translate to be stars, but they're all damn good fighters. But like I said, number 9 still for Gunnar. Great submission. I can't imagine. I think he'll I don't know if these rankings reflect this weekend, but I think that following that Cerrone loss, Gunnar looked so good. I mean, he 10-8'd him. He really did, with just incredible grappling. He looks like he might have higher level grappling, and probably does, than than Cerrone, who is a good grappler himself, and just a different style of kickboxing. You know, he's obviously got the wide legs. He's the karateka style, which generally would favor Cerrone. But we'll see. I would really like to see that fight. I don't know. We'll see, though. Congratulations to Gunnar Nelson on the victory. Alan Jouban, we'll see what's next. Probably somebody outside of the top 15 again. And if he can string together a good set of victories, he'll be back in the mix real quick. All right, a catchweight bout, the third fight of the evening. Brad Pickett, London, I believe. London bred and born and all that shit. He's taking on Marlon Vera. I believe he is Nicaraguan or something like that. Ecuadorian, that's what it is. Marlon Vera. They both look really good, actually. Vera, for the weight, well, it was a 140 catch weight, so I guess he's actually a featherweight. His legs are fucking long as shit. He was throwing a lot of good body kicks, leg kicks during the fight. Brad Pickett stuck with his traditional boxing wrestling background. He looked good. Pickett, I thought, won the first 2 rounds, but he got TKO'd with a head kick and some solid punches. 350, about a minute left in the fight. It's unfortunate there. In the afterward interviews, Marlon Vera actually cried, saying that he looked up to Brad Pickett since he was 17 and watching him fight and all this, and that it was Brad Pickett was a legend, that he, you know, just deserved all this respect, and it was a very emotional moment for Marlon Vera and also for Brad Pickett. You know, Brad Pickett came up and hugged him from behind while he was giving the speech, and then they hugged a few more times, and then after that, Marlon Vera actually got on his knees and bowed to Brad Pickett. It was really, really sweet. I actually kind of teared up. It was fucking... And then Brad Pickett as well gave an emotional interview where he, you know, he said the fans aren't just fans. You know, these are his friends. He always loves, you know, that's what he's about. You know, is the people, yada yada. He's gonna miss that. Ah man, we wanted to give him a good show. Yada, you know. And that was a fantastic bout there. That was one of the better bouts of the evening as well. They were all great bouts. I mean, think about this: that Gunnar Nelson victory, that Manuwa victory. This was a fucking great bout, especially considering Marlon Vera, the up-and-comer, the younger guy. He was losing, most likely losing. I mean, no guarantee, but I thought that Pickett had won the first 2 rounds. And I was really rooting for Brad Pickett. The crowd was so into it as well. Everybody was rooting for Brad Pickett. And that's why it was so sweet what Marlon Vera did at the end of the fight, or after the fight, when he was crying and stuff. He was rooting for Brad Pickett too. You could tell, you know, metaphorically. But yeah, great performance there, Marlon Vera. Let's check the rankings at 145. All right, I guess he's claiming to be a. He is claiming to be. I don't know, man. What is this? So he had a featherweight. His last fight was at featherweight, but he's claiming to be a bantamweight, and this fight was at 140. I do not know. Let's look at both fucking things. The lower weights are so sketchy to me. I'm not even sure what anybody is. Who's not ranked at bantamweight, so I don't think he's ranked anywhere anyway. But let's look. Definitely not up here where Mirsad Bektic is fucking number 15. The gang member Henan Barao. Doohoo Choi, Darren Elkins, what a beast. Fucking A, man. Oliveira looked great the other day. Yair Rodriguez is number 8? Shit. Anyway. Man, how is that possible? Whatever. But that'll be no more fights, unfortunately, for Brad Pickett and then Marlon Vera. We'll see. We don't even know what division he's going to be in, so we'll wait to hear some news as far as what he has done, but give him a minute, I guess, to gather himself and all that, and we'll see. Be looking forward to seeing him again soon. And we move on to the last fight on the main card. This is an entirely UFC Fight Pass card, which is dope. I need to get my Fight Pass back. I was watching it elsewhere. Pretty damn good deal. Barely got Netflix back last night to watch those Dave Chappelle fucking shows, and they were great. I actually fell asleep. I was pretty fucked up. But the first one was hilarious, and the second one was looking like it too. But I was just so goddamn tired. I fucking passed out like 30 minutes into it. Great episodes. Those are good shows.